Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Warnie, coach of the Dogs, and on the road we have Drew Jones.
Coach of the Mountain Goats in the fancy work car. Thank you very much. The Hyundai Tucson, brought to you by Goat Fantasy.
Brought to you by your bank account, I'm sure, as well. Not necessarily as paid sponsor, that one. But, we're not, neither of you, you or I, are going to be driving around in a Tundra, unfortunately, this year. But hopefully some coaches out there listening are well in the hunt as we head into, well, we've already had round 18 start, but the seventh last round of the season this is. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I see a light if they're willing to give a special prize for the coach that finishes exactly 50,000. Because at the moment, it appears I'm more likely to be. I feel like I'm sliding. I'm not moving in the right direction. Yeah, I mean, like as we know, like I've discussed how I've been struck by injury at times. But then George Stewart's been not a bad unique pick. But then you get someone like Carl Amon as unique, and he lets you down, and crap scores and gets injured. So I just haven't been able to make any progress. You went up in rankings this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I did slightly. So if I can move in the right direction, that's okay. But just these bullets that keep coming at us, it's very hard. I was all swaggy thinking that I'd be able to hold my Lockie Whitfield because I've got Hugo Hawker-Hahn, and we've got that to talk about, and that being an issue for us. So yeah, it's just I think it's just hard to make ground. That's the worst part of it at this stage of the season on anything.
Absolutely. And last night wasn't exactly a knockout fantasy game, was it? A few big dogs didn't exactly shoot the lights out.
No, that's it. So we saw 4 tons, and so the high score was Josh Tracy with 102 kicking his 4 goals, and then you had Charlie Curnow kicking 5 goals for 101. Even the point of those sort of big numbers of the for the goals didn't really even see them go mega. We also saw Errol score 100 and Sarong go 101. So they were the 4 tons that we saw. But we did see some decent performances there. The Murphy Reid people that started with him and still have him now are just ticking along as a forward in our fraud line, as we've been calling it. 96 for him, so 28. 28 disposals. He's just such a good player.
Yeah, that was, in my head, that was like a 150 performance. Like he was, especially his first half was just fantastic. Considering that Fremantle didn't kick any goals, he was so dynamic. And then, whenever anything good was happening in the second half, he was involved with it. Like getting multiple possessions in chains going forward, like that is the dream as a fantasy coach, seeing your player just get involved multiple times. He's going to be a superstar for a long time to come. Hopefully he's got forward status next year.
I think he will. He is a machine. So well done to anyone that's still rocking and rolling with him. Just some of the other names. I guess we go Chad Warner, 97, ticks the boxes as he does there. Probably a little bit disappointing from Yahini with an 88 and a Grundy with an 83. And I guess Brayshaw can be thrown into that with his 83 and also Luke Jackson, 78. But it's just, at the end of the day, it was just a night of that. It was an epic game. And just, I think the scariness of what the Dockers did in that second half too is a big warning sign for the competition, and maybe for what we might see some fantasy scores moving forward when you see these hot finals-like games.
I was going to say, I reckon if it was a finals-like fantasy box score, I reckon. No massive scores, no cheap ball really. And there wasn't a lot of chipping around in the back line. It was just hard, tough, contested. And then when teams had the opportunity to do a fast break and score, they just went. Chad Warner was awesome last night. I think he's ended up being a great pick. Like in terms of, he's always been better in real life than in fantasy. But the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, he's been able to combine fantasy scoring and playing great footy. Like to me, he's an All-Australian lock. I think he's first in the comp for score involvement, and again last night, everything was funneling through him.
Yep. All right, let's get into the games for this weekend. Tonight we've got Collingwood and North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Pendles is back in with Harvey Harrison managed, and North have made 4 changes with my man Gota, He has been managed, as has Jacob Constanti. Will Dawson has been omitted, and we see George Wardlaw out again. He's copping a lot of injuries, old Georgie boy. Coming in, we have Riley Hardiman, Paul Curtis, Zach Banch and Matt Whitlock. Both of those guys, you can get it in the forward. Whitlock, he's got the defender forward status, all a rookie price, but they're probably not guys that you're going to get a heap of points from. Is it all about who you're choosing as your VC between Sheasel and Nick Dacos tonight? That's probably almost the biggest question out of this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's a pretty tough decision, isn't it? And I guess I feel like you guys have sort of probably lent towards Sheasel because North Melbourne have always been so willing to do the tag with Sullivan and Jai Simpkin and stuff, but also, like, Sheasel's form has been unbelievable. Like, it's hard to ignore the scores that he's putting up. But also, it is Nick Dacos. Like, that's what makes it such a complicated decision.
It is. So, yeah, it's mega toss of the coin. Hopefully it doesn't change too many. It doesn't matter which one you go. Hopefully they're all right and they give us a big one, because it's fair to say I reckon we'll probably take whatever score is put up here from this one. Although, you've got your Nasai to come, you've got some players to come that might be all right. But, yeah, I think I'm going with Sheasel. I'll back in Calvinator on that one.
Yeah, that's fair enough, because his scoring has been so dynamic, and he's probably slightly less damaging at this stage of his career and the role that he plays than Dacos. So, if there was going to be a hard tag employed, if someone was getting off the chain, probably Nick is going to be slightly more damaging. That's the argument you can tell yourself in your head.
Yeah.
And Perryman can do the job. Whether they'd want to use him on Sheasel in the midfield, that's another question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think either way, they're both going to score well. It's going to be a fun night. Watching those two go toe-to-toe from a fantasy perspective, in prime time, it's pretty fun. And
probably the other thing, Cow Scale of Hardness loves North Melbourne's run from here, and we know that defenders can score against Collingwood. So the Luke Parker call has been a good one for coaches that have gone there, and probably is a target for anyone looking for that defender this week. But maybe also, I don't think he's cheap enough now, but Caleb Daniel has been putting some scores together, and it's one for the brave, I would say, but geez, that little helmeted man out there can rack up. But I will also throw, if you were having to go budget, feels like Colby is doing his defensive stuff a lot more now. Actually, I shouldn't use the word defensive stuff. Being in the back line is probably the better use of terminology for that.
His offensive stuff in the back line. My only thing is, like, it feels like North Melbourne have about 10 half-backs playing at the moment.
Yeah, and even like Hardiman came in this week. That's the thing of that.
Yeah, so like Cooper Harvey's sort of been playing a bit of half-back. Parker's back there. It's like all your usual suspects are playing in defence, plus all these extra attacking half-backs, plus Colby. It's like there's a lot of mouths to feed. It's working at the moment. I think Caleb would be brave. Yeah. I got Parker in probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he's been a pretty solid pick. And the run home is good, but I'd be going Parker if you're picking a North defender.
All right, let's look at St Kilda and Port Adelaide. That's 1:15 at Marvel on Saturday. And, no changes there for the Saints. Kane Farrell comes in for Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, who has been omitted. We're looking at Saints because a lot of us grabbed Nasai Wanganeen-Miller last week and probably is still a target this week. Rowan Marshall is the man to be grabbing. This is probably where your intel might come in. It's been interesting. There's been TBC on the injury list, and then in the comms it's saying, weeks and whatever that means. Have you got any idea or any inklings from your mate, old Roscoe?
Yeah, so he said that TDK's lungs are fine. So now it's just a question of waiting for the ribs to heal.
Yep.
So they said 3 to 4, and we've kicked off 1 week of that. So that's I was really interested to ask you because I'm bringing in 2 forwards this week. So it feels sort of pertinent to me. Is Rowan Marshall, is he still a good option to trade into this week, knowing that you might only get him for 2 or 3 more weeks at his optimum level.
Yeah, he's still a good option, not the must-have though, I reckon. But at that price, like for what he can do, we saw it last week, and we've seen it over the years as well. What he can do in that role, even when TDK comes back, like does he play a little bit more time in the ruck than what he was doing before? So I think we can get away with it. But I joke about it, saying we're in luxury trade season, we'll be able to trade him out at the time, but you might be stuck with him a week longer than you might want him for. And it's going to be hard to trade him if he's had a massive score the week before that as well. But yeah, I think he is a good pick. Like I don't think he's a must-have, but I think he's pretty much, if you've got anyone under 800k like he is that can score like that, has the role at least for this couple of weeks, I think you can still just roll with it.
What about, if you're tossing up Durham or Zach Bailey, who are going to be probably keepers for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that's a good call. I'd be going Zach Bailey over Durham, but there is obviously a price difference there for that, especially with that matchup this week against the Bombers for Durham. But I think for Bailey, I think I would just go with. I think I'll still just roll with Marshall. And you've got a bit of safety of numbers because so many people have done it anyway.
Interesting.
Well, that's your head today.
Probably a slightly tougher matchup this week. Nick Bryan, pretty soft for Marshall. Like Sweet's having a really good season. Maybe there won't be as many 3 points up for grabs for Roma.
Did kick a couple of goals in that last week too, so that was another part of his game, which we know he's got.
Do you tick off Naz as captain if you're not happy with your VC score Friday night?
For sure. I think that should be all right. Like, they might try to make something happen, but as we know with Naz, like even if he is copping some attention, he's just he can move anywhere. He can do anything in the game. Like, he would have to cover a lot of the paddock out there in game to game, wouldn't he?
Oh, unbelievable. Like, he can influence the game
everywhere.
Every centimetre of grass that covers Marvel Stadium, like he can do something, be somewhere, and whether it's a mark, a tackle, a kick in, a +6, or kick a goal, like he can do anything. So, he's one to activate.
Will you tick off Cal Wilkie as an option for coaches at that under 900k if you wanted to shop in that area?
I'm a big fan of Cal Wilkie because I just think there's an element of sort of rain, hail, or shine for him. He gets intercept marks. He gets +6s when they chip it around the back line. Yeah. He's captain. He's a great player in real life. He ticks a lot of boxes at that price. My mate who's competing for a hat, I sort of talked him into Wilkie and Bailey Smith as his 2 guys to bring in this week, making the numbers work. So I'm very heavily pro Wilkie this week.
Nice moves. All right, GWS play against Geelong at NG Stadium at 4:15 on Saturday. Phoenix Gothard is in with Xavier O'Halloran and Jaden Laverty. They have omitted Connor Stone and Josiah Delana, and Lockie Whitfield is out with that concussion. Jack Bowes comes in for the Cats with Mitch Edwards, the ruck, being omitted. So they've gone Sam DeConning, or that's what they've named up as the moment on the team sheet. But Lockie Whitfield, talking point, you've been all over this, as we would say, and things are tracking all right for him to be back next week to play against the Bombers.
Yeah, it looks like from when I spoke to the club on Monday to Adam Kingsley speaking yesterday that everything was tracking in the right direction for Lockie. So it sounds like he's just going to miss the one game, comes back to a juicy Essendon matchup. So, I mean, I think Hugo Hall-Kahan and also Gota for you would have been potentially that window to keeping him, and not everyone will be able to do that now. I think in Supercoach he's probably a hold at this time of year. So I'm because Hugo Hall-Kahan is out, I'm now just going to play with 22 in Supercoach, which you can do because you've got
you get your mulligan.
You get your mulligan. So. And then, Whitfield comes back and hopefully straight away reintegrates into scoring really well against Essendon. So I think he's a hold in Murdoch ball, and then I think probably in fantasy you're going to have to trade.
If you can hold him, would you be doing that in fantasy as well? Because I'm tweaking some things to try to hold on to him.
Oh, if you can find a way, absolutely. I think depends. Like, it's so hard, isn't it? Like,
who's playing for it? What points?
If you want that extra premium on field, is it worth spending the extra trade this week? It depends how much you can improve your team. In an ideal world, I would have loved to have kept him in my team, but I'm using Whitfield to get sort of two budget, not budget premiums, but two like reasonable players on field, sort of sacrificing him, which is just where my team's at. So, whatever makes it work this week.
And the funny thing we talk about in this story of, the trades that we can go, people traded out Bailey Smith when he was missing with his illness. Oh, I'll just get him back after the bye. I'm glad your mate's able to do that, but this is now a couple of weeks in without having him, and the Cats have a really nice run from here. So jumping into him should be a priority at some point as well. And I'm going to throw Max Holmes there as one of those best defender options to grab if you don't have him as well.
Feels like they're two of the must-have players for the run home. And, there's talk about, Geelong have got such a soft run into the finals that maybe, they might get a rest.
Yeah.
That's fine, because by that time of the season, you're able to make those sideways trades without too many issues anyway.
Yep.
And they're not going to have been injured. They're not going to drop 50 or 100K. It's just going to be a straight swap to someone else. So I think, those Cats boys are high priorities.
Baz is at his rest, so we can call it that now anyway. All right, let's get into Saturday night. 2 games on. Carlton and Hawthorn's the first one. Harry Dean is back in with Lewis Young out injured. The Hawks regain Carl Amon, Jarman Impey, and Ollie Greaves plays his first game. So he was a bit of a slider in the draft, so he could be a bit of a ball magnet he is too. So could be an option if you were looking to go right down to a 230k midfielder. Bodie Ryan's been omitted, as has Flynn Perez, and Jack Dalton is out injured. So I don't know if there's much here. Carl Amon, if anyone is still holding him, but I doubt that they would be from here. You'd just be welcoming him back in your side, but you're not sort of targeting, I don't think, many out of this game at all.
I don't think so. Hopefully Sam Walsh holders get an uptick this week.
Yep.
And, Hawthorn were belted last week, so you'd expect a pretty savage response from them, and they would have got a talking to from Sam Mitchell. But from a fantasy perspective, there's not much. Ollie Greaves will have probably pretty low TOG, but high impact. The reason that he slid to the rookie draft was because he doesn't have a very good tank.
Yep.
But given there's 5 on the bench, I think the Hawks always felt like they could nurse him through this period as the player on the bench that doesn't have the high time on ground. So, I can't wait to see him get out there and have a crack, but he's not going to be a high scorer necessarily.
Hawks are very tough too for fantasy points. Like, they seem to rack them up as a group, but we don't have those big ones, which I think some of the Will Day owners a little bit of an uptick in time on ground last week, which is a good thing, but still the scores aren't there. So if you were on there, he's sort of one that you really would want to get to a premium that is going to bust out the scores that you need from him. And another nice one is that Noel Mraz, if you were looking for a little bit of quick cash gen, he had a great score last week with all the marks that he took. He's still in the side, which is a good thing for him. The other Saturday night game is Adelaide and Gold Coast. So Riley Thilthorpe is back in for the Crows with Wayne. He's back in, Wayne Miller. And Billy Dallin has been omitted. And as the talk of the fantasy community over the last 24 hours is that Hugo Hawker-Hahn has been managed. That's what they've named it up as. So managed for him. Will Graham, Oscar Adams come in for the Suns with Ben Long out suspended and Ben Jepson omitted. So Hugo, this was just devastating when that sort of came through, because in a time of need, whether it was a Whitfield thing or just even just that little bit of extra cash gen and having that guy on the bench, because I reckon he might have been a nice option for a few coaches to have have taken the time on ground rule from Whitfield, he's just not going to be there for us. Do you think is this a true managed thing, or do you reckon it might be a little bit of a stint in the twos just to get him, match fitness and all that sort of stuff after a little bit of a quick start to his AFL career after being picked up in the mid-season draft?
I believe that managed is the right term for it because he's stepped up a level and played, consecutive games. If you've got the team sheet in front of you, like who is the player that could make way for Hawker next week? Like that's the big question. Like, is there a window for him to get back in the side?
Yeah, it's a really tough one. I don't know because this is a pretty good Crows lineup and I don't love them that much. He's still named as an emergency, which is always an interesting thing when someone has been managed. So, if that is a true management, is he an emergency or is that just where they're naming him because they want to keep the... so he probably won't play in the SANFL this week.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I guess we just got to wait and see for next week and then he might end up being a downgrade for us.
He's got 500k next to his name, or over 500k. So, you can make some dollars out of him, a nice little 250 plus by downgrading at some point. Jordan Dawson might be another captain option here. We know the Suns do give up plenty to midfielders, and he's shown that he's been in a bit of beast mode at times of late. But, he could be someone to float with there as well. All right, and hopefully Christian Petrarca can do something. This is just going to be a little rocket for him, but good on the Suns too. Like we've had those cash cow kids stay in. A couple of those academy boys there, like my man Jai Murray, but Bo Adamsell's been excellent coming in, and he has been sensational. And we'll see a little bit more Dylan Patterson as well after he made his debut last week. All right, let's move to Sunday. It is West Coast and the Western Bulldogs. That's at Marvel Stadium. You're going to get along? You're going to take Max to that one?
That's a wait and see. We've got an IKEA kitchen being delivered.
Oh, right.
So there's a bit to do this weekend. But my hope is to get along to the game. No guarantees we'll see Tim English. He's got a fitness test tomorrow after he was ragdolled by Brodie Grundy last week. I can't imagine his back would have been feeling any better during that first quarter when he was getting absolutely mauled.
Oh, and Bevo did sort of name it up that he wasn't right, didn't he? Like he sort of admitted that at the end.
Yesterday he did. After the game last Friday, he said that English was fine, but I think he was still in a bit of a huff post-game. Sort of admitted that he'd played him under too much duress.
Yeah,
and Tim's exceptional AFL player, but he's probably not known for his toughness, which is which unfortunately in a combative position in the ruck means that at times he can get monstered, but he just hasn't been the same player for the last couple of years, has he? Since his All-Australian year, unfortunately. From a fantasy perspective, he hasn't been trustworthy.
We might be looking at him next year as an option for being nice and cheap.
Playing in another club.
These are Sunday, yes. Thanks, Jordan Laws. On Sunday, being teams that are extended benches, we won't go through all of the changes there because there are a lot of things going on, things could happen. But the injuries for the Dogs, they've lost Caulfield, Butterick, and also Riley Sanders, who picked up a bit of a hand injury. So he'd be one that you do need to move on in the forward line, I reckon. It's just probably a 1 weeker, but it's just one that you can't be at this time of the year taking one of the guys that you were expecting to be out on the park, and when your bench is not so nice, it is not great. All right, Melbourne and Richmond. They're playing at 3:15 MCG, and Jack Ross is out for the Tigers. We'll see what happens with the extended benches there. Max gone. He should have a day with Nank because Nank still gives up plenty of points to Rucks.
Feels like for me, he's the captaincy play. If it doesn't work out on Friday night, even under the previous ruck rules, Nankervis used to give up a lot of points. And now he's a ruckman who can't jump in a ruck contest where, that everyone knows that the jumpers are the ones that score points.
Yep.
So it just feels like it could be a massive Max day.
And he's
Hopefully
sort of the one.
Nice sunny day at the MPG.
And he's sort of the one too, like we can talk about these must-haves. He'd be one for the run home that you'd want. Like I had a question thrown at me this morning. Basically, is it Max or Rowan Marshall? And I've been of a bit of a mantra for a guy like Max, and we've probably got a few like your Baz Lenkas, your Nasai's, just get it done. And so you might go past the value just to get it done. What are your thoughts on something like that? Would you just get Max if you had the ability to do it rather than getting Rowan Marshall as your ruck?
I would get Max. I think the matchup is great this week, and he's got the longevity of role, whereas Rowan Marshall's up in the air with TDK. So I think, this is the chance to get Max in and be guaranteed a big score straight away, and you know that he's going to be your guy for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they just get it done. And let's hope we see something from Banksy, your man. You've probably been as big a cheerleader as anyone on Banksy. Have you got an answer for me?
I'm happy for you to place the blame on me when it comes to him and him being a massive failure. Well, he's been named, hasn't he, despite the knee on knee.
Yep.
So as far as I know, he's right to go. I would love to trade him, but there's probably 5 or 6 other priorities ahead of him. So we just have to hope for the best, don't we?
That's the hard thing,
It's a reasonable matchup for defenders, isn't it, against the D's?
D's can give up points to defenders. So, let's just cross our fingers. That's about all we can do, I reckon, and hopefully that will get us through. Where are we going now? Last game of the round is Brisbane against Essendon, as Cal's very happy to call it a training run. Dusty Gardner's out injured, but they do get Dane Zorko back and Hugh McCluggage and Kitty Coleman, so some decent names coming in for the Lions there into the squad. Bombers have omitted Will Setterfield and Jordan Ridley's been managed, but we do get Archie Roberts back. So that's a good news story for the Dons, and could even be a target because he did have that lower score and he's at a price where, hey, we all know what he can do, and he might be a defender that could end up being a nice unique one for the little run home. Would you consider getting on Archie? Maybe after this week, being the break-even so high in the Brisbane matchup.
Yeah, once the dollars make sense, absolutely. I'll consider anything to improve my team.
Because he'll be under 900K, I reckon, next week. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's pretty enticing matchup for the Lions, isn't it? Like with Zorko coming back, McCluggage is back in, it feels like they could really flex their muscles. Zach Bailey is someone I'll be bringing in this week. Good matchup.
Nice.
And he's been one of the better forwards, or more trustworthy forwards, I'd say, over the last couple of months. It feels like he could do a bit of damage.
He's good. And Will Ashcroft too has been a bit of he's been a hot player the last 3 games that he's played, scoring super well.
Unreal.
And I think he could be someone that you could get in this week for that instant reward. But I guess the small flag on that is that that we do have McCluggage back into the side. So whatever that means, which is probably not too much, but I think, this is the time of the year for Will Ashcroft anyway. He's working towards another norm.
I think every Brisbane player, to be honest, it feels like they've just clicked into a different gear. Dunkley, unbelievably cheap for what he's done historically. I'm still not I'm not sure he'll get the 12 tackles this week, and then so you have to have a lot of trust in him to go ball hunting.
Yep. That'd mean Essendon would need to have the ball 12 times for him to have 12 tackles, so that could be an issue.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to ask about Durham.
Yeah.
So his score wasn't great last week, but the role is still there. Like, are you still a Durham believer?
I am totally, and I think even he was probably a player to the eye. Was better than, was it a 69 or something like that, I think he scored. So, to the eye, it was much better than that. So, I'm still on board. He's still getting it at a decent price too. I just think it's the Marshall versus Durham thing, if that was what the question comes down to as well for that. I think I'd still go Marshall, even though he's got a shorter life expectancy in our teams. But, I do love Durham. If you want to get on him, you're getting him at a price that's better. It's like a few people have thrown at me Isaac Rankin, for example. I think I'd just be going Durham for the cheaper price because I could do something else with the coin that you'd be saving on that one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's where.
Oh, a big weekend, mate.
It is. All right. Well, good luck getting your Zach Bailey on. Enjoy the ride. I remember the day I got him. I was coming back from Perth, and the 5G popped up, and it was almost quarter time. Roy and I had bought him that day, and it was quarter time as we were going. And you beauty, he was dominating. I think he was well over 30 in the first half of the first quarter. So it was a very nice start. So enjoy the ride. He's one of the best players in the comp, and he's trying to add some zeros to his contract. So, well, Drewy, have a nice weekend, mate. Have a great day today, and yes. Enjoy the fantasy football for the 7th last weekend of the season.
On you, mate. Take care. I'll say good day to Albo for you.
Ah, yes, go and do that. You are moving up in the world of your job because you're getting to speak to the big dogs there. So, actually, could you sign me off with a Drew Jones camera?
Yeah, I'll have something up my sleeve for you for sure.
Legend. Thanks, mate. Talk to you soon.
On you, mate.